Good morning and welcome to Luke chapter 20. Let's get started. One day as Jesus was teaching the people in the temple and preaching the gospel, the chief priests and the scribes with the elders came up and said to him, "Tell us, by what authority do you do these things? Or what is it that gave you this authority?" And he answered them, "I also will ask you a question. Now tell me, was the baptism of John from heaven or from man?" And they discussed it with one another, saying, "If we say from heaven, he will say, 'Why did you not believe him?' But if we say from man, all the people will stone us to death, for they are convinced that John was a prophet." So they answered that they did not know where it came from. And Jesus said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things." And he began to tell the people this parable. A man planted a vineyard and let it out to tenants and went into another country for a long while. When the time came, he sent a servant to the tenants so that they would give him some of the fruit of the vineyard. But the tenants beat him and sent him away empty-handed. And he sent another servant, but they also beat and treated him shamefully and sent him away empty-handed. And he said, "Yet a third, this one also they wounded and cast out." Then the owner of the vineyard said, "What shall I do? I will send my beloved son. Perhaps they will respect him." But when the tenants saw him, they said to themselves, "This is the heir. Let us kill him, so that the inheritance may be ours." And they threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. What then will the owner of the vineyard do to them? He will come and destroy those tenants and give the vineyard to others. When they heard this, they said, "Surely not." But he looked directly at them and said, "What then is this that is written? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Everyone who falls on that stone will be broken to pieces, and when it falls on anyone, it will crush them. It will crush him." The scribes and the chief priests sought to lay hands on him at that very hour, for they perceived that he had told this parable against them. But they feared the people, so they watched him and sent spies, who pretended to be sincere, that they might catch him in something he said, so as to deliver him up to the authority and jurisdictions of the governor. So they asked him, "Teacher, we know that you speak and teach rightly, and show no partiality, but truly teach the way of God. Is it lawful for us to give tribute to Caesar or not?" But he perceived their craftiness and said to them, "Show me a denarius. Whose likeness and inscription does it have?" They said, "Caesar's." He said to them, "Then render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." And they're not able in the presence of the people to catch him in what he said, but marveling at his answer, they became silent. There came to him some Sadducees, those who deny that there is a resurrection, and they asked him a question, saying, "Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies, having a wife but no children, the man must take the widow and raise up offspring for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first took a wife and died without children. The second, and then the third took her, and likewise all 7 left no children and died. Afterwards the woman also died. In the resurrection, therefore, whose wife will the woman be? For the 7 had her as a wife." And Jesus said to them, "The sons of this age marry and are given in marriage, but those who are considered worthy to obtain to that age and to the resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage, for they cannot die anymore, because they are equal to angels and are sons of God, and being sons of the resurrection, but that the dead are raised. Even Moses showed in the passage about the bush, where he calls the Lord the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Now he is not God of the dead, but of the living, for all live to him." Then some of the scribes answered, "Teacher, you have spoken well," for they no longer dared to ask him any questions. But he said to them, "How can they say that the Christ is David's son? For David himself says in the book of Psalms, 'The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand, until I make your enemies your footstool.' David thus calls him Lord. So how is he his son?" Okay, now just a few bullet points for Luke chapter 20. Well, first we have, the popular paying taxes to Caesar. It's important, that Jesus mentions, whose likeness is on the coin, whose likeness is on the money. It's Caesar's. So give to Caesar what is Caesar's. But also it's implying that we should give to God what is God's, what bears his image. And it's all, we're supposed to pay our bills. But the important thing is, Caesar's give it to Caesar. But we give to God what belongs to God, what has his likeness on it. Another thing, and the other one that stands out is the talk of marriage. And the important thing is, and this debate they were trying to have with Jesus, they failed miserably, is marriage is not a permanent thing. And we learn from what Jesus says that it's obvious that once the resurrection happens, once we die and we go to heaven, marriage is not important, marriage is not counted, it's not still done. Marriage is a temporary thing while we're alive on earth. That is why, they said, well, it doesn't matter, because marriage doesn't matter in the resurrection. He says, no one will neither marry nor give in marriage, for they cannot die anymore. Right? So I know there's some religions that believe that you can have special prayers, or you can do certain things to link you to your spouse in the afterlife. That's nowhere in Scripture. Okay? Marriage is not a thing when we get to heaven. But that's all I've got for you today. Keep on reading. We're almost at the end, and don't forget that you can always go on the playlist, the Gospel of Luke playlist, and catch up on all the videos so you're ready. So I'll see you tomorrow. Y'all have a blessed day.